Namo Buddhaya. Have you ever heard that a simple number could change your life? What if I told you that the number 888, written on a small piece of paper and placed under your pillow, could unlock prosperity, serenity, and inner peace? In today's fast-paced world, many of us are seeking clarity, balance, and success in our personal and professional lives. What if the answer could be as simple as a mystical number? This might sound like a myth or just another spiritual belief, but let me tell you, the number 888 carries a profound significance across different cultures and spiritual teachings. By the end of this video, you will discover why this number holds such power and how you can use it to transform your life. Let's dive into this fascinating journey of unlocking spiritual energy. Exploring the meaning of 8. 88. The number 888 has long been associated with spirituality and prosperity. Many believe it to be an angelic number, a portal to abundance, and a symbol of good fortune. Across different cultures and religions, this number resonates deeply. In Christianity, for example, the number 888 is linked to Jesus Christ, as the Greek numerical value of his name equals 888, symbolizing redemption and eternal life. In Buddhism, the number 8 holds deep meaning, representing the eightfold path that leads to enlightenment. In the Zen story that follows, an ancient monk named Kaito shares the secrets of 888 with his disciples. The story begins around a campfire, where the wise monk speaks of the mystical power of this number. He explains how the number 888 is more than just a symbol. It's a key to unlocking the unlimited potential of the universe and tapping into the infinite reservoir of energy and wisdom within each of us. Kaito's disciples listened closely as he spoke, and in one powerful moment, the monk asked them to write the number 888 on a white sheet of paper with golden or red ink, both symbols of luck and prosperity. The paper was then to be placed under their pillows. The monk promised that through this ritual, the energy of the number would flow into their dreams, transforming them into prophetic visions and offering insights into their destinies. The power of ritual and symbolism. Now, let's pause here and think about the significance of this ritual. Why would writing a number on a piece of paper hold so much power? In modern psychology, the act of writing down goals or intentions is often tied to manifesting positive outcomes. Many spiritual traditions believe that symbols carry energy and intention. In this case, 888, with its circular, infinite shape, represents an unending flow of prosperity and balance. When you engage in a ritual like this, you're not just writing numbers, you're setting a conscious intention. Just like meditation or prayer, the act itself can help align your mind with your goals, opening up new paths for success. In Kaito's teaching, the act of writing 888 is a symbolic gesture that signifies your readiness to receive the gifts of the universe. In my experience, rituals, no matter how simple, are powerful tools to shift your mindset. Whether you are meditating on the number 888, practicing mindfulness, or just taking a moment to breathe deeply, each action is a step toward aligning yourself with a greater force. The real power lies in your belief and the energy you put into it. Specific examples of transformation. Let's return to Kaito's disciples. After following the monk's advice, each of the disciples placed the paper with the number 888 under their pillows. That night, something extraordinary happened. They all experienced vivid dreams filled with mysterious symbols and messages. Upon waking, they felt refreshed and transformed. as if a new clarity had washed over them. Over the next few days, opportunities began to appear in their lives. From unexpected job offers to meeting helpful strangers, everything seemed to align perfectly. But here's the crucial part. It wasn't just luck. By focusing their minds on the number 888 and performing the ritual, they activated something much deeper within themselves, a shift in their perspective, an openness to new possibilities. Think about it. How often do we go through life with our heads down, missing the opportunities right in front of us? The number 888 is a reminder to look up, to be open to synchronicities, and to believe that the universe has your back. These stories are not just ancient myths. They're reflections of how a shift in mindset can lead to real-life transformation. Take, for example, the story of Akiko, a young disciple who lost her home in a sudden fire. Devastated, she felt abandoned by the universe. But through Kaito's guidance, she used the power of 888 to rebuild her life. This wasn't magic. It was the shift in her mindset that allowed her to see the opportunity in adversity, to rise like a phoenix from the ashes. With the help of her community, she created a new, stronger home, a symbol of her inner resilience. This is a lesson for all of us. Sometimes, it's in our darkest moments that we discover our greatest strengths. By focusing on the number 888, Akiko unlocked her potential for growth, showing that even in the face of loss, prosperity is possible. What can we learn from these stories? First, the number 888 is not just a lucky charm. It represents the limitless potential within us. Whether you're a spiritual seeker or someone just looking for more balance in life, the symbolism of 888 offers a powerful tool for reflection. Personally, I have found that when I focus on a symbol, whether it's a number, a mantra, or an image, I create a mental and emotional shift that opens up new possibilities. It's not about expecting miracles to happen overnight, but about aligning your energy with your intentions. The number 888, in particular, carries a message of balance between the material and spiritual worlds, between action and surrender. The next time you feel stuck or overwhelmed, try this. Take a piece of paper, write the number 888 in golden ink, and place it under your pillow. Before going to sleep, reflect on what prosperity and balance mean to you. You might be surprised at how this simple ritual can start to shift your perspective, bringing new opportunities and insights into your life. As we reach the end of this story, let's reflect on what we've learned. The number 888 is not a magic spell that will instantly bring you wealth or happiness. Instead, it's a symbol, a reminder of the infinite potential within each of us. The key to prosperity lies in recognizing that potential and aligning ourselves with the flow of the universe. Whether through meditation, rituals, or simply setting intentions, we have the power to transform our lives. Just like Kaito's disciples, we can invite prosperity and balance into our lives by focusing on what truly matters: inner strength, love, and compassion. In conclusion, the number 888 is an invitation to live in harmony with the universe. It's a reminder that while external success is important, true fulfillment comes from within. As you go about your daily life, keep the energy of 888 close to your heart, and remember, prosperity is not about what you have, but about who you are. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the power of 888. If this story has inspired you, I encourage you to try the ritual for yourself. Write the number 888 on a piece of paper. Place it under your pillow and see how it transforms your perspective. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more insights into spiritual growth and personal transformation. Namo Buddhaya. Imagine this. You're stuck in traffic. Your phone rings with urgent messages from work, and you're already running late for an important meeting. Your heart races, your breath quickens, and stress takes over. We've all been there, right? What if I told you that there's a way to remain calm and peaceful even in these high-pressure situations? Today, we'll explore powerful Buddhist teachings that can help you stay calm under pressure, no matter the situation. Welcome to another episode of Inner Guide Q&A. Let's dive into this practice that has been cultivated over centuries and still proves effective in today's chaotic world. One of the central teachings in Buddhism is the concept of impermanence. Everything around us, every experience, whether positive or negative, eventually passes. It's a simple yet profound truth that many of us struggle to accept. Why do we cling so tightly to our problems when, in reality, they are fleeting? Let's take a closer look at this through an example. Imagine you're having a rough day. Your boss criticized your work, and now you can't stop replaying that moment in your head. But here's the key to peace. Those harsh words you heard, they're already gone. The moment they were spoken, they became impermanent. What truly prolongs our suffering is our mind's tendency to cling to these experiences, replaying them over and over. If we could deeply understand that even the most stressful moments in life are temporary, we'd begin to free ourselves from the emotional weight we carry. The ability to let go of these negative experiences starts with accepting their impermanence. The same applies to good moments. Cherish them, but know they too will pass. This understanding is the first step to mastering calmness. Now that we've touched on impermanence, let's discuss how we can remain calm when those stressful moments strike. One of the most effective tools Buddhism offers is mindfulness, particularly through meditation. But here's where it gets practical. You don't need to meditate for hours to feel the benefits. Simple mindfulness exercises can be incorporated into everyday life, even in the midst of a stressful situation. Think about your breath for a moment. When you're stressed, your breathing becomes shallow and quick. On the contrary, when you're relaxed, say right before you fall asleep, your breath is deep and slow. The beauty of mindfulness lies in this simplicity. When you feel overwhelmed, stop and focus on your breath. Take a deep breath in and slowly exhale. Repeat this several times and you'll notice a sense of calmness begin to settle over you. Let's go back to the earlier example of being stuck in traffic. Instead of letting stress build up, try this. Take a deep breath in through your nose, hold it for a moment, and exhale slowly. Now, do this 5 times. What happens? By focusing on your breath, you pull your mind away from the problem and bring it into the present moment. Suddenly, the chaos around you doesn't feel as overwhelming. This practice, called anapanasati or breathing meditation, is simple yet transformative. By focusing solely on your breath, you reduce the overwhelming number of thoughts running through your mind to just 2. Inhale and exhale. It's not about eliminating stress entirely. It's about learning to coexist with it peacefully. Now, you might be thinking, this sounds great, but it's hard to practice mindfulness when I'm already stressed. And you're right. The truth is, mindfulness and meditation are like any other skill. They require practice. Imagine an athlete who trains every day so they can perform under pressure during the big game. The same principle applies to your mind. By practicing mindfulness and meditation daily, you build the mental strength needed to remain calm when stress arises. Try spending just 5 minutes each day focusing on your breath. Over time, this habit will strengthen your ability to face life's challenges with composure. There's a saying that goes, "If you sweat during times of peace, you will bleed less during times of war." In other words, if you practice these techniques when you're not stressed, they'll be much easier to apply when you are. So, even on your good days, take a few moments to meditate. This way, when life throws you a curveball, you'll be ready to hit it out of the park. Another essential element of remaining calm under pressure is cultivating compassion, both for others and for yourself. When we hold on to anger, resentment, or frustration, it creates inner turmoil. But when we practice forgiveness and compassion, we let go of those negative emotions and open the door to peace. Let's look at an example. Imagine someone at work wrongs you. Maybe they take credit for your idea or speak harshly to you in front of others. Naturally, you feel hurt or angry. But holding on to that anger only prolongs your suffering. By practicing forgiveness, you're not excusing the other person's behavior. You're simply choosing to release the emotional weight from your own heart. Compassion goes hand in hand with forgiveness. When you approach others with compassion, even in difficult situations, you create space for peace to flourish. Instead of reacting to stress with anger or frustration, you respond with kindness and understanding. This doesn't mean allowing people to walk all over you. Instead, it means choosing peace over conflict. Now, let's explore a real-life example. Picture this. Emily, a project manager at a tech firm, constantly found herself stressed out due to tight deadlines and high expectations. Every time her boss criticized her work, she would take it to heart and replay the moment in her mind. Her stress levels skyrocketed, and she often felt burnt out. One day, Emily decided to try a different approach. She began incorporating breathing exercises and daily meditation into her routine. By practicing mindfulness and recognizing the impermanence of her boss's critiques, she stopped taking them personally. Instead of letting stress take over, she started to breathe through the tension. As time passed, Emily felt more in control of her emotions and found a calmness that helped her perform better under pressure. In the end, remaining calm under pressure is about shifting your perspective. Recognize that stressful moments are temporary and that your response to them is within your control. By practicing mindfulness, focusing on your breath, and cultivating compassion, you equip yourself with the tools to navigate life's challenges with grace. So, the next time you find yourself overwhelmed by stress, remember these teachings. Pause, breathe, and remind yourself that this too shall pass. Life will always bring its share of challenges, but with the right mindset and tools, you can face them with a sense of calm and peace. Practice mindfulness, cultivate compassion, and always remember the impermanence of every experience. You are stronger than you think, and peace is always within reach. Namo Buddhaya. Imagine this. You sit down to study, intending to focus, but within minutes your mind wanders. You think about what to eat for dinner, your phone pings, and suddenly an hour passes with little progress. Sound familiar? You're not alone. In today's fast-paced world, many students struggle to concentrate on their studies, overwhelmed by distractions. But what if there was a way to harness your focus? In this video, we explore ancient Buddhist wisdom combined with modern practices to help you build laser-like concentration. The key to staying focused in your studies is not just about willpower. It's about creating the right mindset. By tapping into mindfulness and Buddhist teachings, we can reshape our approach to studying, allowing us to concentrate with ease. In this journey, we'll break down powerful techniques to overcome distractions and cultivate a focus that lasts. Passion fuels. Focus Buddhism often teaches that the mind follows the heart. When you are passionate about something, distractions fade away. Think about the last time you watched your favorite movie or listened to a song you love. Were you easily distracted? Likely not. This is the first key to staying focused in studies. Passion. If you don't naturally feel passionate about your studies, don't worry. Passion can be cultivated. Begin by framing your studies as a path to achieving your dreams. Visualize the bigger picture. Why are you studying? What future does this knowledge open up for you? When you can connect your studies to a personal goal or vision, your mind will naturally gravitate toward focus. Small wins build momentum. The second key is celebrating small achievements. It's easy to feel discouraged when your focus slips after just a few minutes. But instead of punishing yourself for distractions, practice gratitude for those moments of concentration, no matter how short they are. Buddhist practices encourage living in the present and appreciating the small victories along the way. The same applies to focus. If you manage to stay concentrated for 10 seconds, celebrate it. This positive reinforcement trains your brain to see focus as rewarding, slowly but surely extending the duration of your attention span. Personal input. Example: I remember a time when I struggled to focus during my own studies. I would feel frustrated, trying to force myself into long hours of studying. But once I started rewarding myself for even the smallest periods of concentration, I found it easier to build up my focus over time. Like a muscle, your ability to concentrate strengthens with practice. Reduce distractions and create space for focus. In our hyper-connected world, distractions lurk around every corner, especially from our devices. Social media notifications, messages, and even random thoughts can break your concentration. The third strategy for mastering focus is to minimize distractions. Start by identifying your biggest distractions. For many of us, it's our phones. Turn off notifications or place your phone in another room while studying. Create a focused environment by setting up a quiet, clutter-free space where your mind associates with concentration. When I began this practice, I realized my phone was my biggest distraction. So, I started using a study timer that allowed me to work for 25 minutes uninterrupted, and then take a 5-minute break. During those 25 minutes, my phone was out of sight. Over time, I found myself focusing for longer periods without needing breaks. Focus is a habit, not an instant fix. One of the biggest misconceptions about concentration is that it's a skill you can master overnight. In reality, it's a habit you develop over time. Much like Buddhist meditation practices, focusing requires consistent effort. In meditation, when your mind wanders, the key is not to judge yourself, but to gently bring your attention back to the present moment. The same applies to studying. Every time you catch your mind drifting, gently refocus on your studies. With practice, this redirection becomes automatic, and your periods of concentration will grow longer. Example from Buddhist teachings. This idea of non-judgmental awareness is central to Buddhist teachings. In meditation, the mind will wander. That's natural. The goal isn't to prevent distractions, but to develop the ability to bring the mind back to the object of focus. Think of your studies as a form of meditation, where the subject of focus is your learning material. Meditation as a focus primer. Before diving into your study session, take a few moments to meditate. Meditation doesn't have to be long. Even just 5 minutes of mindful breathing can set the tone for deep focus. Buddhist meditation techniques often emphasize the importance of the breath as a tool to center the mind. Simply close your eyes and focus on your breathing. Inhale deeply and exhale slowly. By doing this, you signal to your mind that it's time to focus. Your breathing acts as a natural anchor, pulling your attention away from distractions and into the present moment. Specific example: a student's story of transformation. Let me share the story of a student I once knew. He struggled for years to focus on his studies. No matter how hard he tried, distractions seemed to overpower him. But everything changed when he began incorporating Buddhist principles of mindfulness into his study routine. He started small, first by meditating for 5 minutes before studying. Then he applied the non-judgmental awareness technique, gently redirecting his focus whenever it wandered. Over time, his ability to concentrate improved drastically, and his grades followed suit. What seemed like a daunting task at first became achievable with mindfulness and consistent practice. The power of regular practice. The Buddhist approach to mastering focus mirrors the practice of meditation. Just like any new habit, consistency is key. The more you practice bringing your mind back to your studies when it drifts, the easier it becomes. Slowly but surely, your brain rewires itself to maintain focus for longer periods. In my own life, when I first began practicing these techniques, it felt like an uphill battle. But after a few weeks of diligent practice, I noticed a shift. My mind became more disciplined, and distractions had less power over me. Now, I find it easier to slip into a state of deep focus. In the end, the lesson we can draw from this is that focus is not something we are born with or without. It's something we can cultivate through practice and mindfulness. By applying the techniques of Buddhist wisdom, finding passion, celebrating small wins, reducing distractions, and incorporating meditation into your study routine, you can transform your ability to concentrate. Remember, focus is a journey, not a destination. The more you practice these techniques, the stronger your concentration will become, leading to improved studies and a calmer mind. Passion fuels focus. Celebrate small achievements in concentration. Reduce distractions by creating a mindful study space. Practice regularly to develop focus as a habit. Incorporate meditation as a pre-study routine. By implementing these methods, your journey to mastering focus becomes more than just an academic challenge. It becomes a personal path to growth, discipline, and success. Namo Buddhaya. What if I told you that everything you've ever chased for happiness may have been the wrong approach? Imagine if all the external things, money, success, relationships, that you thought would bring you happiness were only temporary pleasures. Buddha's teachings give us a startling perspective. Happiness is not out there in the world, but within us. And I'll take you on a journey through this profound realization. As humans, we naturally seek happiness. Whether through a career, relationships, or personal goals, this pursuit is universal. Yet, many people fail to find true happiness because they're looking for it in the wrong places. This video shares Buddha's wisdom on how we can stop chasing temporary pleasures and embrace lasting happiness by cultivating inner peace and clarity. In today's fast-paced world, it feels like we're all in a constant race to achieve happiness. You might be chasing a better job, a bigger house, or more accolades. But have you ever noticed that after reaching a goal, the feeling of contentment is fleeting? This is because these material things only provide temporary pleasure, not lasting happiness. Growing up, I always thought achieving milestones like graduating with honors or landing a dream job would lead to happiness. And while they provided temporary joy, I often found myself wanting more. It's like happiness slipped away the moment I achieved something. This restless chase only left me frustrated, proving Buddha's point that external sources can never be the foundation of lasting happiness. The Buddha teaches that pleasure and happiness are two very different things. Pleasure comes from external things, luxuries, experiences, or achievements. It's temporary and fleeting. On the other hand, true happiness comes from within and is long-lasting. Think about the joy you feel when you buy a new gadget or treat yourself to a luxurious meal. That satisfaction feels great at first, but after a while, the novelty wears off. Compare that to the peace of mind you feel when you've forgiven someone or helped someone in need. The latter stays with you longer, because it is not dependent on material gratification, but stems from emotional or spiritual growth. One of the most powerful teachings in the Dhammapada is the idea that our happiness is directly linked to the purity of our mind. If we act with an impure mind, suffering will follow us like a shadow, but with a pure mind, happiness will flow naturally. Consider two people going through the same hardship. One person reacts with anger and resentment, and as a result, they feel bitter. The other person chooses to embrace the lesson within the challenge, finding inner peace despite external difficulties. The purity of their mind shapes their reality. Buddha's teachings remind us that life is filled with ups and downs. Expecting constant happiness or an unchanging life is unrealistic. Happiness comes when we accept life's impermanence and learn from both good and bad experiences. Imagine you've had a bad day at work. Your boss was demanding, and everything seemed to go wrong. You can either dwell on the frustration or see it as a learning opportunity. By accepting that bad days are a natural part of life, you allow yourself to move past them with resilience. There was a time when I would resist every bad thing that happened to me, trying to fix it immediately. This resistance only made things worse. But as I practiced accepting situations as they were, I noticed a shift. Even the toughest moments started to feel less burdensome when I stopped trying to control them. In Buddhism, generosity, also known as dana, is a key practice in finding happiness. When we give without expecting anything in return, we experience a deep sense of fulfillment. This selfless act aligns us with the happiness that comes from helping others rather than accumulating things for ourselves. Think of a time when you gave to someone in need. Maybe you helped a friend or donated to a charity. The joy you felt from that act of kindness likely stayed with you much longer than the pleasure from buying something for yourself. I remember a time when I volunteered at a local shelter, serving meals to the homeless. Seeing the gratitude on their faces brought me a kind of joy that no material possession ever could. It's a happiness rooted in compassion, something that lingers far longer than the fleeting pleasure of consumption. Forgiveness is often misunderstood as a sign of weakness, but in truth, it's one of the most liberating acts we can perform. When we forgive others and ourselves, we free our hearts from bitterness and anger, creating space for happiness to enter. Buddha emphasized that holding on to resentment only harms us, not the person who wronged us. Have you ever noticed how holding a grudge feels like carrying a heavy weight? It saps your energy and robs you of peace. Now imagine releasing that grudge. Suddenly, the weight lifts, and your heart feels lighter. That's the power of forgiveness. I used to hold on to grudges for far too long. The burden was exhausting, and I was often bitter. But when I started practicing forgiveness, not for the sake of others but for my own peace, I felt an incredible sense of relief. It's true that forgiveness benefits the forgiver more than anyone else. According to Buddha, the highest form of happiness is nibbana, a state of complete enlightenment where one is free from desire, anger, and delusion. It's the ultimate goal, a state of inner peace where happiness is no longer dependent on external factors. While reaching nibbana may seem like an unattainable goal for most of us, the journey towards it is just as important. Every step we take in purifying our minds, practicing generosity, and forgiving others brings us closer to this ultimate happiness. To sum up, Buddha teaches that lasting happiness comes from within. By purifying our minds, embracing life's reality, practicing generosity, and forgiving ourselves and others, we can experience true joy that external circumstances can never provide. Happiness is found within, not in material things. Acceptance of life's ups and downs brings peace. Generosity and selflessness lead to deeper fulfillment. Forgiveness liberates the heart and allows for personal growth. As you navigate your own journey, remember these teachings. They have the power to transform not just your life, but the lives of everyone you touch. Embrace them, practice them, and watch how your life fills with peace and joy. Namo Buddhaya. Are you feeling lonely? That emptiness, that sense that nobody cares? What if I told you that loneliness could actually be your greatest opportunity for personal growth? Today, let's uncover how to turn the pain of loneliness into the peaceful state of solitude, using timeless Buddhist wisdom. Loneliness is a universal experience, and for many of us it comes when we least expect it. Whether it's after a breakup, losing a loved one, or simply when the friends who were once close drift away, suddenly we're left with a void. This void, often filled with sadness or even despair, can feel unbearable. But why do we feel lonely in the first place? The answer lies in how we relate to others. We often tie our happiness to the presence of others, depending on them for joy, support, and validation. When they're gone, we lose the very source of our happiness. We hand over the keys to our emotional well-being, and when people walk away, it feels like we're locked out of our own sense of fulfillment. However, what if I told you that loneliness isn't an enemy? What if it could be a friend, offering you a precious gift, the gift of time to reconnect with yourself? To understand how loneliness can transform into something positive, let's first draw a distinction between two states: loneliness and solitude. While loneliness brings with it the longing for someone else to fill our emotional cup, solitude is the art of filling that cup on our own. In Buddhist practice, solitude is cherished as a time for deep reflection and inner growth. Instead of waiting for external sources of happiness, those who practice solitude focus on cultivating happiness from within. The Buddha often spoke about the importance of solitude, particularly for monks on the path to enlightenment. He taught that being alone isn't inherently negative. In fact, solitude can help you discover deeper truths about yourself and the world around you. When you aren't distracted by external relationships or societal pressures, you have the space to explore your mind, meditate, and develop wisdom. Let's explore an example from the life of Buddha himself. Before achieving enlightenment, the Buddha, then known as the Bodhisattva, practiced extreme forms of self-discipline and meditation. For 6 long years, he pursued rigorous physical hardships, believing that these efforts would lead him to enlightenment. During this time, he was accompanied by 5 disciples who admired his dedication. But when the Buddha realized that extreme self-mortification wasn't the path to enlightenment, he decided to nourish his body, breaking his fast and eating food to regain physical strength. His disciples, disillusioned by this change, abandoned him, convinced he had forsaken the path to enlightenment. Alone in the jungle, without the support of his followers, the Buddha could have easily felt lonely, despondent, and lost. But instead, he embraced this solitude. Rather than feeling abandoned, the Buddha saw this period of being alone as an opportunity. With no distractions, he could focus fully on his meditation. It was in this moment of solitude, freed from the expectations of others, that the Buddha found the clarity he needed to attain enlightenment. Most of us aren't striving for enlightenment like the Buddha, but his story offers a powerful lesson. When we are alone, we have a unique opportunity to focus on self-development. Instead of feeling abandoned or helpless, we can turn inward and ask ourselves what we need to grow. When you are lonely, ask yourself, how can I use this time to better myself? Can I develop a new habit? Cultivate a new skill? Meditate? Read books that inspire me? Exercise? In these moments, solitude becomes a gift. It offers you the time and space to reflect on your own life, desires, and goals. This is the heart of Buddhist teachings. Learning to find peace and happiness within yourself, regardless of external circumstances. One of the most transformative practices you can engage in during moments of loneliness is meditation. Meditation allows you to go inward, confront your feelings of loneliness, and understand them. Through regular practice, you can develop a sense of peace that isn't dependent on others. In solitude, your mind has the opportunity to quiet down. You're no longer bombarded with distractions, conversations, or the expectations of others. Instead, you can listen to your own inner wisdom. Through meditation, you begin to realize that happiness isn't something you seek from others. It's something you cultivate within yourself. Let me share a personal example. A few years ago, I went through a phase of deep loneliness. After the end of a long relationship, I found myself feeling empty and lost. The house felt too quiet. The friends I once relied on seemed distant. In that silence, the loneliness was overwhelming. But rather than wallow in self-pity, I decided to use that time to focus on myself. I began practicing meditation daily, going on long walks and reflecting on what I wanted from life. In that solitude, I discovered strengths I never knew I had. It was during this time that I made some of the most important decisions of my life. Decisions that wouldn't have been possible if I had remained distracted by social engagements or relationships. Practical steps to turn loneliness into solitude. If you find yourself feeling lonely, here are some practical steps to transform that feeling into productive solitude. Meditate daily. Start with just 10 minutes a day. Focus on your breath, observe your thoughts, and let them pass without judgment. Engage in self-care. Use this time to nourish your body and mind, whether it's through exercise, healthy eating, or simply taking care of your mental health. Self-care is essential. Create a routine. Establishing a daily routine can give you a sense of purpose. This could include hobbies, creative projects, or personal goals. Reflect on your goals. Use solitude to think deeply about what you want to achieve in life. Write down your goals and create a plan to work toward them. In the end, loneliness doesn't have to be a source of pain. Instead, it can be the very thing that leads you to greater self-awareness, wisdom, and inner peace. By embracing solitude, you gain the freedom to grow into the person you are meant to be, without relying on others to make you happy. Remember, solitude isn't about isolation. It's about reconnecting with yourself, finding joy in your own company, and discovering that everything you need is already within you. So, the next time you feel lonely, remember, this is your opportunity. Use it wisely, embrace it fully, and in doing so, you will transform your life in ways you never thought possible. Lesson to take away. Loneliness may feel like a burden, but it can be transformed into a powerful tool for self-growth. Through solitude, you find your true self and realize that happiness comes from within, not from others. Namo Buddhaya. Imagine this. You're sitting calmly, minding your own business, and suddenly someone storms into your space, their words dripping with anger, hostility, or blame. We've all encountered such moments, whether it's a family member, a friend, or even a stranger. The real challenge isn't avoiding toxic people, because they're everywhere. It's learning how to handle them without getting dragged into their negativity. In today's episode, we're diving deep into how to deal with toxic people through a Buddhist lens, focusing on compassion, wisdom, and self-control. This topic is not only relevant, but crucial in maintaining peace in our modern world. Let's explore how we can manage such situations gracefully, just like the Buddha did. The Buddha's encounter with toxicity. One of the most famous stories from the life of the Buddha revolves around a toxic individual who came to challenge and insult him. This person was furious, shouting at the Buddha, trying to provoke a reaction. But how did the Buddha respond? With anger? Frustration? No, quite the opposite. The Buddha remained calm, smiled gently, and did not accept the man's hostility. The Buddha's reaction teaches us that the power of toxicity lies in whether or not we accept it. In this story, after the angry man had exhausted his insults, the Buddha asked him a simple question. When guests come to your home and you offer them food, what happens if they refuse to accept it? The man responded, "Well, then the food is still mine." The Buddha smiled and said, "Exactly. Just as you offered me your anger, I choose not to accept it, so it remains yours." This was a profound moment of wisdom. When we refuse to accept negativity, it stays with the person who delivered it. Modern examples of toxic encounters. Toxic people can appear in various forms today. Think about that coworker who always criticizes your work, or a family member who constantly brings negativity to gatherings. Their words are like the food the Buddha talked about. They can only hurt us if we consume them. For example, in the workplace, toxic people may try to undermine your confidence or push you into reacting angrily, hoping to see you flustered. But if you handle it with grace, much like the Buddha did, you will maintain control over your peace of mind. Similarly, social media is a breeding ground for toxic interactions. It's all too easy to get swept up in an argument online, But when we choose not to engage in hateful conversations or respond to criticism, we reclaim our peace. The key takeaway here is that toxic words are powerless unless we give them power by reacting. The Buddhist practice of loving kindness. So, how do we practically apply this wisdom in our daily lives? One of the most powerful techniques in Buddhism is the practice of metta, or loving kindness meditation. By cultivating love and compassion in our hearts, we train ourselves to respond with kindness, even in the face of hostility. This doesn't mean letting others walk over us, but rather choosing to approach situations from a place of strength, calm, and inner peace. Imagine starting your day with a few minutes of metta meditation, focusing on sending love and kindness to yourself and others, even those who challenge you. When you encounter negativity later in the day, you're more likely to respond from a place of centeredness. This practice is crucial because it strengthens your emotional resilience, making it easier to face toxic people without getting dragged down by their negative energy. Reflecting on our own actions. Dealing with toxic people isn't just about managing others. It's also about managing ourselves. Sometimes, anger or frustration in others can reveal something about our own behavior. When someone lashes out, it's important to take a step back and ask, is there any truth to what they're saying? Often, toxic people act out because they feel unheard or wronged. If we listen carefully, we might find that there's a grain of truth in their accusations, and we can use that to grow. For example, if someone accuses you of being inconsiderate, instead of immediately defending yourself, reflect. Have there been moments where I may have unintentionally hurt them? This doesn't mean that we always need to accept others' toxicity, but we can use it as a mirror to examine our own actions and improve ourselves. Responding with silence and action. Sometimes, the best way to respond to toxic behavior is through silence. As the Buddha taught, silence can often speak louder than words. When someone is angry, their mind is clouded with emotion, and they're not likely to listen to reason. By staying silent, we allow their anger to dissipate on its own. Then, when the storm has passed, we can address the issue calmly. However, silence alone isn't enough. We must also lead by example. If someone criticizes us unfairly rather than retaliating, we can prove them wrong through our actions. Success, calmness, and kindness are the best ways to show others that their toxic words have no effect on us. Over time, they may even come to respect our calm demeanor and self-control. Building emotional boundaries. While it's essential to respond to toxic people with kindness, it's equally important to set emotional boundaries. If someone continually brings negativity into your life, it's okay to limit your interactions with them. Buddhists believe in compassion for all beings, but that doesn't mean allowing others to harm us. Creating healthy boundaries protects our peace and mental well-being. Setting boundaries doesn't have to be confrontational. It can be as simple as reducing the time you spend with someone or politely declining to engage in certain conversations. By doing so, you protect your energy and prevent toxic behavior from affecting your emotional state. The key takeaways. In the end, dealing with toxic people is about maintaining control over our reactions. Like the Buddha, we can choose not to consume the negativity others offer us. By practicing loving kindness, reflecting on our actions, responding with silence when needed, and setting healthy boundaries, we can protect our peace of mind and emotional well-being. Toxic people may be everywhere, but with the right mindset, we can handle them with grace and wisdom. As we wrap up, remember that the best way to handle toxicity is through compassion, both for others and for ourselves. Every negative encounter is an opportunity for growth. Next time you face a toxic situation, try to respond with a smile and see how the dynamic changes. Stay peaceful, stay kind, and protect your inner peace. At the heart of it, the Buddha's teaching reminds us that we cannot control others, but we can control our reactions. Toxic people may come into our lives, but how we respond to them defines our peace. Smile, stay silent if necessary, and remember, the negativity they project is their burden, not yours. By staying centered, you can navigate any storm with the wisdom and grace of the Buddha. Namo Buddhaya. Have you ever sat down in an exam room, staring at a question that you know you studied, but the answer seems to have vanished from your mind? It's a frustrating experience that many students face. Why does this happen? Why is it that no matter how hard you try, sometimes your brain just refuses to recall what you've learned? In this video, we'll explore what causes this sudden forgetfulness from a Buddhist perspective, focusing on the 5 mental hindrances that block our ability to remember. And more importantly, we'll uncover a powerful tool, meditation, that not only helps you overcome these obstacles, but enhances your ability to retain knowledge. The 5 hindrances to memory. According to the teachings of the Supreme Buddha, forgetfulness, especially when studying, often stems from what are called the 5 hindrances. These mental blocks cloud our mind, making it difficult to absorb and recall information. Let's break them down. Sensual desire, kama chandu. This refers to craving or lustful thoughts. When your mind is preoccupied with these desires, it becomes impossible to focus on studying. Your mind is wandering somewhere else, fantasizing about things that have nothing to do with the task at hand. Anger, vyapada. Have you ever tried to concentrate when you're furious? It's nearly impossible. Anger heats up the mind, diverting attention away from studying. Instead of focusing on the material, your thoughts are consumed with rage. Sleepiness, thina mida. Feeling sleepy while studying is one of the most common challenges. When your mind is covered by drowsiness, nothing sticks. The knowledge simply doesn't have the energy to sink in. Restlessness and worry, udaka kukucha. Sometimes your mind is too restless, filled with anxiety or regret. You may find yourself constantly distracted by random thoughts, making it difficult to focus on your studies. Doubt, vicikiccha. Doubt about your abilities can be a major obstacle. If you're constantly thinking, "Am I good enough? Will I succeed?" then your mind is too occupied with these thoughts to absorb any new information. Connecting with personal experience. These 5 hindrances might sound familiar because they reflect universal struggles we all face. Think about that time you stayed up late cramming for a test, but your mind wandered, thinking about something completely unrelated. Or maybe you felt so anxious about how you'd perform that doubt clouded your ability to focus. In my own journey, I remember times when anger or frustration about something unrelated to my studies completely derailed me. I'd sit down with the intention to focus, but my mind was so distracted by emotions that nothing stuck. Over time, I discovered that meditation was the key to pushing through these barriers. How meditation helps overcome these hindrances. Buddhism teaches that meditation is the best remedy to quiet the mind and remove these hindrances. But how exactly does meditation help? Let me share some practical examples of how it works. Sensual desire. Imagine you're trying to study, but your mind keeps drifting toward thoughts about a vacation or a new hobby. Practicing mindfulness meditation can help you notice when your thoughts stray. When you become aware of your desires and bring your attention back to the present moment, your concentration improves. Personally, I've noticed that even just 5 minutes of breathing meditation helps me stay focused on what matters. Anger. Meditation also works wonders for anger. When you're furious, your thoughts spin out of control. But through meditation, you learn to recognize anger as it arises, allowing you to take a step back before it consumes you. For example, I once had an argument with a friend just before a big test. Instead of studying, I was fuming. A short meditation session calmed me down and allowed me to regain focus. Sleepiness. We all know that sleepy feeling when studying. I've found that a quick 5-minute meditation in the morning makes all the difference. Just focusing on my breath or doing a short body scan helps me shake off that drowsiness. It's like a mental caffeine boost that clears away the fog. Restlessness and worry. If your mind is restless, focusing on meditation can ground you. For example, I used to worry constantly about upcoming exams. My mind raced through endless what-ifs. But meditation taught me to stay in the moment. When I practiced loving-kindness meditation, focusing on sending positive thoughts to myself and others, I found that my mind settled down, and I could focus on studying again. Doubt. Doubt can paralyze you. Whenever I doubted my ability to succeed, my studies suffered. But meditation gave me the tools to manage this self-doubt. Through practicing compassion meditation, I learned to treat myself with kindness and realize that it's okay not to be perfect. This shift in mindset was a game changer. Let's dive deeper with a real-life scenario. I remember preparing for a crucial final exam in college. I had studied for days, but on the morning of the test, I was overwhelmed by anxiety. My mind was spinning with worry, and I could barely remember anything. I decided to pause for a moment, closed my eyes, and practiced a simple breathing meditation for 10 minutes. By the time I finished, my mind was clearer, my heart rate slowed down, and I felt more centered. As a result, I walked into the exam feeling focused and calm. The exam didn't seem as daunting anymore, and I remembered everything I had studied. So, what's the takeaway from all of this? When you study, it's not just about reading books or memorizing facts. It's about preparing your mind to be in the best possible state to absorb and retain information. The 5 hindrances, sensual desire, anger, sleepiness, restlessness, and doubt, are barriers that keep us from accessing the full potential of our memory. But by practicing meditation, even for just 5 minutes a day, you can calm your mind, push away these obstacles, and unlock your ability to remember what you've learned. Next time you sit down to study, remember that it's not just about the time you put in, but the mental clarity you bring to the table. Whether you're battling drowsiness or self-doubt, a few minutes of meditation could be the difference between forgetting everything and acing your exam. Try it out for yourself. Commit to meditating for 5 minutes every morning before you start studying. You might be surprised by the results. And if you want to learn more about meditation and how it can improve your life beyond just studying, make sure to check out the other videos on this channel. The key to remembering what you study lies not just in effort, but in the state of your mind. Clear away the hindrances, and your mind will be a fertile ground for knowledge to grow.